Who are you? Really?
Really? I am just a figment of your imagination.
I don't know. No, seriously, I mean, this is a franchise that keeps getting tumbled around in the old Hollywood dryer, but I couldn't tell you where it came from. Like, what I mean is a lot of movies that had the unique flair that the original Men in Black had also had a single creator that they could credit for everything. I mean, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale had to push Back to the Future through the pipeline. They had to do everything. They showed that script to, like, everybody in Hollywood until somebody finally picked it up, and then they basically shot the movie twice. Those guys are legends for that shit, though. You had Lucas with Star Wars, you have Feige with the MCU. I mean, the whole industry would really have you believe that's being built off the backs of a few creators. Fun little irrelevant side note, this channel has Anita, who created the character of me to silently suffer in between episodes of Community. But Men in Black is different in a really interesting way, and I think that's why it's been so hard to replicate the success of the first one, so I think for that reason we're gonna start with 1.
All right, kid, here's the deal. At any given time, there are around 1,500 aliens on the planet, most of them right here in Manhattan. And most of them are decent enough. They're just trying to make a living.
Cab drivers.
Not as many as you'd think. Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
But why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat, and 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow.
Movie's pretty cool. You got Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones doing the perfect straight man funny guy act. And if you want to know the secret, I'll give you the secret. I'll give anyone the secret. It's not really a secret. Smith is the straight man in the movie. He's the one reacting to what Jones is saying and doing, making him the actual straight man that the funny guy bounces off of. It's a cool reversal for those character archetypes of grumpy old man and slick newcomer.
And this guy was...
Galaxy on Orion's belt didn't make any sense.
Look, that's what the little dude inside the big dude's head said, right? Right after... Damn, man. We did the flashy thing already.
Hey, whoever you guys are, you're gonna have to show me some idea if you're gonna be in the morgue.
Oh, yes, of course, young lady. Have a look at this for me, please.
Would you stop that?
What?
That thing is gonna give her brain cancer or something.
So do we give Smith and Jones the credit? No, they appeared in all 3 of the original movies, and that didn't save the sequels. I guess that eliminates director Barry Sonnenfeld too, although don't worry, I was gonna do that anyways. I mean, don't get me wrong, he takes a lot of the cake. He fought for both Smith and Jones, and he changed the setting of the whole film from a series of underground bunkers to New York City, baby! But he also wasn't really there from the beginning. He arrived at the project with a full script already. He was a director chosen for that script. This script would have already included things like the neuralizers, the fact that the MIB looks like they came straight out of the 60s, the fact that they get all their news from the tabloids, just the entire premise, the entire plot, the gut-wrenching twist ending. I mean, all of it really got handed to Sonnenfeld. So then I guess it's gotta be the writer, right? Ed Solomon, we found our guy. He's the guy. Willems said it. Willems can grow a beard and do weird shit. We love Willems.
Fools.
Unless I'm catering to the side of YouTube that hates Willems, in which case, boo Willems. We can't give Solomon all the credit anyways. I mean, a lot of people got their hands on that script in between Solomon writing it and Barry getting it. Yeah, you also gotta give credit to the CG and the animatronics, the people who did the visual effects, the people who did the makeup, the people who did the costuming. I mean, I know this is all stuff that goes into every movie, but everybody was really at the top of their game here. There's a lot of stuff that could have been bad without the movie necessarily suffering that still isn't bad. Seriously, go check out Willem's video if you want to see what went into making this movie, but needless to say, it was a lot. There was a lot of care on the set of Men in Black. So maybe we give the credit to the producers? I mean, they were there the whole time and they stayed throughout the series. Maybe they're the ones that brought together the whole movie to be the best movie it could be. But then why wouldn't they have done the same thing for all the other movies, including the one without... God, this is hard. Okay, let's talk about 2.
The deneuralizer. In a few moments, transverse magneto energy will surge through your brain, unlocking information hidden deep and dormant that could hold the key to Earth's very survival.
Okay. What's that thing?
The deneuralizer.
Now, 1 was great and it made a lot of money. It was the 3rd biggest box office opening of all time when it first premiered. Now it's probably been beaten by a bunch of Avengers movies. I don't really want to look it up. It got toys, it got a song, it got a cartoon. It got a cartoon?
You never heard of us because we're your best kept secret.
Dick?
That's an undocumented Mercurdian sporting non-department issue concealment.
Nothing is what it seems. I got it. This cat's mine.
Easy, Tiger. You don't know what you're dealing with. Plead all you want.
Huh. So they were getting around. And then the series was in a time that I really like when series are in, even though I was too young to experience this series in this time. And that time is Limbo Time. Wow, that was an awful way to introduce Limbo Time. Think Star Wars after the prequels, but before the sequels, where everyone hated the prequels, but was pretty much okay with the story other than that. I mean, we dreamed lightly of a sequel, but we didn't really expect much. George Lucas was like, no, I'm not doing more. You're not getting more. Shut up. Now, this is what I assume the franchise sentiments were for Men in Black at the time of its release, and I bet those sentiments lasted all the way into the opening scene of Men in Black 2.
Big boy, transit authority, people. Please move to the forward car. We got a bug in the electrical system. Yo, people, we got a bug in the electrical system. Oh, now y'all running. Now y'all... No, sit down. Sit down. It's only 600-foot worm.
Everybody out before I start knocking heads here.
You get in there and you put the hammer down on this thing.
I'm Captain Larry Bridgewater, and I decide what happens on this train.
Oh, you decide. Oh, okay, come here. Come here. Larry? Yeah, it's my man Jeff.
Larry just made a decision.
Yeah, Larry need to take his ass in there.
Yeah.
Don't make me do this, Jeff!
I mean, the first we meet back up with Jay, it's not a bad reintroduction. He's obviously progressed in his career, he's training up a new agent, he knows local aliens. It's pretty cool to see how far he's come since the last film. It could almost be a good little short film about Will Smith's character growing into the role that Kay left for him and trying to figure out how to mentor somebody the way that Kay mentored him. And there's action and it's fun and it's funny, although they changed the neuralizer color. And that, why would you, what was wrong with the other neuralizer, the iconic neuralizer? Why is it blue now? What's blue? I don't, but it's good. It's good. I like it. I like the first 10 minutes of the film. But then they brought back Kay. Because of course they did. They had to. They had to do that because one of the best parts about the first movie was Kay and Jay's dynamic, so the best way to make sure the second one was a success was to bring back that dynamic. I think that's an overarching theme with this movie, is trying to cut corners to cash in on the first movie's success.
Let's go put it on.
What?
The last suit you'll ever wear. Again.
Why think of new secondary characters when you can just bring back the talking pug? I mean, what else has he got to do? pug. Why take any care to maintain that sort of 60s sci-fi aesthetic when you could just cram in slick gadgets that would make cooler looking toys?
Didn't your mother ever give you a Game Boy? What is a Game Boy? You know what, move.
Why should this movie care to show the audience the things that they cared about in the first movie, such as L, or the little side missions that the MIB did in their spare time, or the different things that they used to complete a mission, like the tabloids, or the different people they interviewed? I mean, like, there was so much cool stuff in that first movie that didn't rely on anything, and this one relies on a bunch of expositional lore and spends its plot on a story that we don't care about. Maybe I'm alone in thinking this is where 2 goes wrong, but it almost feels like the brand is continuing rather than the story, because the story of this movie sucks and has no connection to the first movie's story beyond brand. Plus, I mean, too much karate. But what actually happened here? Well, not to spoil the build-up or anything, but it's the writing. I mean, most of the issues that I listed out would have been problems that started at the scripting phase, and also the one big thing that I left out of my initial criticism, which is the fact that K and J's chemistry is incredibly off in this movie.
You're not gonna slow me down on this, are you?
Slow you down? Whose brain's working on outdated software?
Why don't you go grab us some coffee while I do this?
Oh, sure thing. How you take it? Black, couple cubes to kiss my ass?
I don't know what's in there. I don't want you to get hurt, so step back.
Hey, Kay, for real, man, open the damn locker.
The whole movie, they bicker like a married couple, as if that was what was special about the first movie, is that they fought, but that's like a way oversimplification of their dynamic from the first film.
Series 4 deatomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Noisy cricket.
Hey, Kay, no, come on, man. You get a Series 4 deatomizer, I get a little midget cricket. Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing.
The comedic chemistry comes from Jay's inexperience in the first movie, but Jay's not inexperienced in this movie, so what do? Well, the writers decided to just make them fight, and that's funny enough. These two characters that obviously respect each other a lot and enjoy each other a lot just fight all the time now. Okay, look, I'm not typically one to rewrite these kind of movies because that's basically fan fiction, and I don't like doing fan fiction. It's just a personal thing. But YouTube is making it look kind of sexy right now, so I guess why not? You could just flip the original dynamic around, have Kay now be the impatient one, the one who's stumbling over what he's missed, confused about what's changed about the MIB because he just wants to get this mission over with so that he can get back to retirement. Then, of course, deciding at the end to not get back to retirement. Jay doesn't have to be like as dry as Kay was in the first film. Will Smith plays sarcasm great though, so you could have a more sarcastic figure in that role, and the film would probably work a little bit better with that as the dynamic rather than they just seem to hate each other. Gordon's a pro though, he's probably just under a lot of time constraints, and he'd probably kick me out if I suggested that, unaware of my time travel abilities or the extremely extraordinary circumstances that he's actually taking part of. And that's the thing, Gordon probably shouldn't carry sole blame for this movie being bad. I mean, he was a really good choice for the Men in Black franchise. His other writing credits fit the brand very well. I think everything was just rushed here somehow. I think that every part of the process, people got rushed to do their job, and it made everything feel kind of soulless in the end. And that's a sequel to a movie that's got soul busting out of its farmer's skin. So yeah, as the screen said, I guess the question now is, where does that leave us for 3? Well, after that second film, it could have led us nowhere, and for a while it kind of looked like it did. There was a 10-year age gap between 2 and 3, and there was never really any expectation from the average movie viewer that the series would go anywhere beyond where it had already gone, besides that Michael Jackson thing. What? But Little William had no idea what the expectation or reality of movie making was for a long time, so I followed the Men in Black series from the time I found it in probably 2006 or 7 until 2012 when the third movie came out. And there was still a lot of care for this franchise. Will Smith and Barry Sonnenfeld were talking as early as the set of 2 to make 3 Maybe they were just, I guess it's not, hey, let's make this movie. Don't tell the cops. So they got the Tropic Thunder guy to write 3 based off an idea Smith had, and then they got 2 other guys to come in and rewrite what that guy wrote. Now, there were some tricky clickbait articles at the time that would try to convince people that the movie was made while it was being written, and that's kind of true. They were still writing aspects of the film as the film was being made, but it didn't mean that they weren't working hard on it. A lot more care went into this one than the last one, and it shows in the actual film.
I'm an agent of Men in Black, but I'm from the future. We're partners. 25 years from now, you're gonna recruit me. And 14 years after that, the guy you didn't let me kill today at Coney Island, he escapes from prison and jumps back in the past and unleashes a full-scale invasion of Earth. We got about 19 hours to catch him and kill him, so really, we need to go right now.
All right.
I mean, sure, it's not winning any Willies, which is my personal award show, but I do think that the people cared about making this movie and that that's visible in the movie. They add in some new side characters that expand the world of Men in Black rather than relying on the old side characters to carry the film. They have an interesting time travel story that they want to tell, and they do cool things with that story outside of the story that they wanted to tell, showing a lot of other aspects of the world and characters that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. Smith and Jones are not necessarily being written better here. They act a lot like an old married couple still, but Jones is written out pretty early on in the film for not much explained reason. Instead, Jay hangs around younger Kay, played by other No Country for Old Men guy. And they do something else cool here too. They bring back the old dynamic from the first movie, except for this time Jay is impatient because he knows he's running against a ticking clock, whereas in the first movie he was impatient because he was inexperienced. Kay's indifference then comes from the fact that he doesn't understand the situation fully and just knows that there are protocols and rules he has to follow. And the reveal that Kay actually knew about Jay all the way back at this point adds an interesting twist to their dynamic and recontextualizes the first movie in a bittersweet way. It wasn't random that Jay was picked. It was because Kay knew Jay's father and knew that Jay's father was willing to make sacrifices for the greater good, and he knew that he left behind a boy who would grow into a great man. Fake tears aside, that really could make a man cry. The timeline plot could be pretty annoying, and it did basically ensure that we wouldn't get to see more day-to-day actions of the MIB, which is something that made the first film so great. But it did give the film a chance to return to that 60s aesthetic that made it so good in the first place, without having to retcon all the new slick gadgets shown in the second one. Yeah, alright, I keep bringing up this 1960s style without explaining why I find it so important, and that's not fair to you guys. This is a video, the only thing I'm supposed to do is inform you. So, production designer on the first movie, Bo Welch, actually designed the Men in Black headquarters to look like a 1960s airport. And I think that that is vital to the iconography of the first movie, and a good explanation for why it feels off in the next one. Men in Black as a concept is nothing new. They've been around in popular culture for a long time, usually associated with stories about the supernatural or whatever. In fact, this movie is based on a comic book that covers the same exact premise. But the problem is, before, they're not usually the heroes. They're like bullies. They stop you from finding out about supernatural forces, usually for nefarious or just misguided reasons. You need to be siding with them in this movie, though, so how do you fix that? Well, you have to give the Men in Black a lot of personality outside of being a mysterious force, and I think the 1960s aesthetic does more for the iconography of the film than anything else. It's not getting butts in the seat, the neuralizer's getting butts in the seat, the noisy cricket is even getting butts in the seat, but it's not the fact that it's a 1960s airport. But the 1960s aesthetic helps justify the Men in Black's decision to protect the world from finding out about aliens because it shows that they are kind of just stuck in time. They made the decision in the 60s to halt Earth's progress on a universal scale, so now they themselves are stuck in the 60s. And that, I think, helps the Men in Black be more empathetic to the viewer. It's not about what's right and wrong, so you don't need to be asking if they're doing the right thing throughout the movie. The movie tells you they might not be. Their mission isn't out of an obligation to right or wrong, though. It's out of fear.
Charge our weapons in view of the public.
Man, we ain't got time for this cover-up bullshit. I don't know whether or not you've forgotten, but there's an alien battle cruiser about to...
There's always an alien battle cruiser or a Carillion death ray or an intergalactic plague that's about to wipe out life on this miserable little planet. The only way these people get on with their happy lives is they do not know about it.
They fear the next stage in human evolution, so their job is to prolong this one, and keeping them stuck in the past helps you see that. So cool how movies visualize things sometimes. So yeah, that's why I was so pissed when it was taken from 2 and replaced with all that slick gadgetry and new cool stuff the movie was trying to sell itself on, because it paints the Men in Black more like superheroes than I think the first movie did, and it robs from my ability to empathize, so I was excited when it came back for 3. So yeah, there's my little logic ramble for you. Next! I won't delve too deep into criticism here, although trust me, there's a lot of things to say bad about this movie, but I think it shows here that there was care put into it, and that at least Smith and Sonnenfeld have a lot of care for this entire franchise. I don't think it's just them either. I think a lot of people worked to try to make this series good. It just didn't work well for them one time, but there's a lot of care all around for the entire franchise and the universe. I got to play a cool iPhone game for a little while, so I was left satisfied with the series. I like that too. It's a neat little trilogy with a lot of cool stories to tell and fun concepts, and it's all because everybody that was making it at the time just cared about it and wanted it to be good, besides 2. Talk about International because it only really kept the producers off the original, which, the audio fucked up there. It cut out the part where I said I wasn't gonna talk about Men in Black International. I hope that's not confusing, although you guys can see me now, so I pretty much cleared up the mistake. I don't have to watch Men in Black International.
It's okay. I'm your friend. I'm Molly. Go on.
Hey everybody, and welcome to my bathroom floor. The movie wasn't necessarily that bad. I just drank a lot because I wanted to be like one of the cool big time YouTubers. They're always pulling such big bottles and they're putting it down. I don't know how they do that. I'm gonna have to drink more if I want to do this as a full-time gig. Alright, the movie, it's fine. I mean, no, fuck, it's bad. Not in a way that's worth talking about. They just took things that they knew people liked about Men in Black and sent it through the Marvel sequel standard. You know how all sequels these days kind of have that, like, sheen that you see in a lot of Marvel movies, because everyone's kind of broken down that formula now, and so it's literally a standard, and that's what this is. It's a Marvel movie wearing Men in Black skin, and it's not a good one. Again, not bad enough to send me to the floor. I did that to myself. Hey, I'll tell you guys I have Patreon now. Seems like a perfect time to ask for money. Shows that those 2 producers have a care for the series and they want to see it continue, though maybe they don't have its best interest at heart, as International was a little bit of a letdown. But I think the story may be over now anyways. What it is a pretty neat trilogy that kind of feeds into each other. The first and third movies really go back and forth well, and the second movie explains why Tommy Lee Jones is back in the third movie, so that's a plus. I just don't see a sequel as being really necessary. There's nothing that really needs to be added to this story, so I think it's best left alone. So I guess to answer the titular question, check the credits of the first film. That's why Men in Black is so good. Everybody there did a great job. And also, look into some of the people who weren't credited, like the writers who got the script after Ed Solomon. Like, they're not credited, I think, but it's the guy who did Jurassic Park, and I think maybe one other guy did. I mean, like, it's, you know, the movie went through a lot of hands. Everybody that goes into the production of a film is doing a good job, and I think it's really easy for us to forget that sometimes. We like to hold up certain aspects of filmmaking as really important while we dial back the importance of others, and we tend to undervalue how much time, effort, energy, and creativity goes into absolutely every part of the fucking process. I think it's easy to hold up a creator, director, writer, or actor as the sole reason a project's good, but I think it's important to remember that every job has to get done in the filmmaking process, and everybody's got to care about their job if you want that job to look good. I guess I don't really know who I'm talking to here, because I don't know that a lot of you guys are going to go out and make movies. Maybe you guys are. If you are, that's fantastic. Tell me in the comments. I want to hear about your movies and go watch them. I love watching movies, but you know, this is really on film producers somewhere in Hollywood who are not going to watch the video. So, I mean, what do you do with that? I guess all of us here can just make a pact right now to forever respect the jobs that go on in the film industry and that they are part of what makes the content that we enjoy good. Cool. I like having a pact with you guys. I don't have a lot of friends. Can't make a lot of pacts. Alright, cool. It was good talking to you.
That was not human. I know. Oh, looks like you got some entrails on you there, pal.
What the hell?
The situation's under control. Calm down, please. Give me your attention for a moment. I'll be glad to tell you what happened.